Beginners in the world of FPV all want the same thing. They want everything you need in a kit provided for you by someone else, all configured, all set up, and ready to go. And that is what this kit promises to offer. This is the Fat Shark Pro Start kit. Oh, here it is. This is what you get in the kit. And in this video, I'm going to go over what you get. I'm going to tell you why I think it's a pretty good freaking deal for the price they're asking. And I'm going to tell you a couple reasons why you might want to pass it up. But you might want to get it. You're going to have to watch the video to find out. Yes, I have a lot of shit on my back patio. Deal with it. I got a lot of shit on my porch too. I got a lot of shit in my yard. Somebody in my comment section was like, clean up your property, take some pride. And I was like, shut up. I am incredibly proud of my property. I'm incredibly proud of all my trash. Oh, that was full throttle. All that shit's there for a reason. Calm your tits. It's my house. Probably shouldn't take the comment section so seriously. We go in here. Dive around. Through the trees. Little tiny whoopee racetrack. Right, left, swish, swish. Yeah, that's good. Oh, you can't really, you have to think differently when you're power looping a tiny whoop, because if you let them fall and don't get on the throttle early, they just hit the ground. But then you screw up your angle. Can I do an inverted yaw spin? Inverted yaw spin! Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you got to get early on the throttle there. Oh, fly away, sir. Disarm. Let's try turtle mode. Yeah, that worked. Turtle mode worked there. So what do you get in the kit? Well, the first thing you get is the Radiomaster Pocket controller. This is hands down the best value RC controller that you can get in the world of FPV today. This goes for about $60 new, and I want you to keep these numbers in mind, because at the end of the video I'm going to tell you what the total price of this kit is, and you can compare it to what it would cost to buy these things new, and you can see if you think it's worth it. So when I saw that ROTOR was including the Radiomaster Pocket, I didn't even hesitate. That is clearly the right choice for a budget-oriented beginner kit. Although the Radiomaster Pocket is budget-oriented, and in some ways it kind of looks a little bit like a cheap toy, it's actually really well made. Radiomaster makes really solid radios, and I've opened one of these up, and like all the wires are neatly routed, they're nice solid wires, the solder joints are all really solid. This is a radio that you can continue to use for, well, pretty much as long as you want. Eventually, maybe you'll want something a little more premium feeling. Eventually, maybe you'll want something a little bit bigger, like the gimbals are not very big gimbals, although for people coming from game controllers, that may feel just perfect. But for people coming from the RC world, well, you're a beginner. You're not coming from the RC world, so you don't know, but a lot of people would prefer bigger gimbals. There are things you could nitpick about it, but there are also professional top FPV pilots who just love the Radiomaster Pocket for its small size and do amazing things with it. There's no question that the Radiomaster Pocket is not going to hold you back. And it's not going to hold you back in terms of its capabilities. This radio runs the Edge TX operating system. And welcome to Edge TX. If you're a beginner, then you don't know what that means. But Edge TX is the software that basically all transmitter battery low FPV radios run. I got to get it on the charger or it's going to keep yelling at me. Edge TX is incredibly capable. It's incredibly configurable. It's too configurable. In fact, one of the things people struggle with as beginners is they get the radio and they power it up and there's all these screens and menus and they just don't even know where to begin. The good news is ROTOR's done all this Fat Shark, Rotor Riot, whoever, has done all the setup for you. At least that's the promise. We're going to put that to the test. We should be able to just turn this on, plug in a battery, and go. We're going to find out if that's true. So suffice it to say that even though this is a budget radio, it's not going to hold you back in any way in terms of its capabilities, in terms of its programmability, etc. It has all of the functions and capabilities of the top-end radios in Radio Master's line. It's just a little bit, it's like got a plastic shell. It's got a little bit smaller gimbals. They're not all metal CNC gimbals. They're plastic gimbals. You're giving up some of those things, but in terms of capabilities, you're not giving up anything. Real quick, guys, I'm in the middle of working on the flight testing for this drone, and I noticed something about the setup of the controller that is not letting you get the maximum possible range, and I think you should change it. I'm sure Rotor Riot had their reasons for configuring it the way that they did, but I just disagree. So what you're going to do is you're going to press the sys key on your radio. That's going to take you to the tools menu. You're going to highlight Express LRS. That's the first option, and you're going to click the jog wheel down here. And then you're going to change the packet rate. So I'm just going to click one time. Packet rate will start flashing. Your packet rate is set to 250 hertz. And that's giving you a lower latency connection, but it's giving you a connection with shorter range. I would consider changing that down to 50 hertz, which gives you a little more latency, but especially if you're a beginner, you're not going to notice that. You're not like a finely tuned razor sharp instrument. You want range probably more than you care about latency. So you're going to change that down to 50 hertz. And if you decide you don't want to change that, you can leave that at 250 hertz. That's fine. Maybe you want the latency. But the other change that you definitely should make is you should go down to TX power here, and you'll see my TX power is set to 250 milliwatts. They ship it set to 100 milliwatts, and that's a difference. Going from 100 to 250 milliwatts gives you about 40% more range, which it will run your battery down a little bit faster. But again, I don't know why you would not ship it with it set to max power on the max power, and I would just definitely make that change. Period, without reservation. The drone is the Rotor Riot Vision40. This is a 40 millimeter drone. The drones are spec'd based on the size of their props. So these are 1.6 inch props, which better work out to 40 millimeters. Basically what that means is that this drone is big enough and powerful enough to get a little bit of speed, to do a little bit of acro stuff, but it's not so big and heavy that when it crashes, it's just immediately going to destroy itself. And it's not so big and heavy that if and when it crashes, it's going to break a window or potentially injure a person. This is the kind of drone where you can have a lot of fun flinging it around and yet be a little bit cavalier about crashing it, because ultimately it's just going to bounce off of whatever it crashes and then hopefully get back up in the air again. And having said that, somewhere out there, someone will crash it and it will break. Nothing's indestructible. And of course, it would be silly of me to promise you that this drone was indestructible. But in general, this is a great drone for a beginner. Better even than some smaller drones, which kind of lack a lot of power and a lot of agility and actually require, in some ways, better piloting skills to work around their limitations. This is really, in my opinion, a sweet spot in the micro drone ecosystem. This is in a lot of ways a sweet spot in the micro drone ecosystem, where it's really fun to fly, really natural to fly, but there's relatively low stakes. And we're going to take it out and fly it. You're going to see some flight footage. You're going to see what a semi-mediocre pilot like me can do with it. This is going to be the most controversial part of this whole kit. This is the goggle, the FPV goggle that comes with the kit. And these goggles are going to be controversial because they are one generation out of date. These goggles came out in 2022. These are the Fat Shark Dominator HD, they called it. And this goggle was released with the introduction of the Walksnail video system. But then just last year in 2023, I believe, in 2023, Walksnail released the new Goggles X, and that is the current generation goggle with a few additional features compared to the Dominator HD. Because here's the thing. These goggles do everything that the Goggles X do from the perspective of a beginner pilot. They work perfectly with the Walksnail video transmitters. All Walksnail video transmitters that are available today, they work perfectly with them. The main drawbacks of these goggles are that they don't have an HDMI input or output. So if you want to send video to an external screen, you have to use a USB to HDMI adapter, and it's a little bit janky. They don't have an HDMI input, so you can't use them with, well, anything that outputs HDMI. And they don't have an analog input. So if you have analog drones, you can't fly them. And frankly, I think that for the price this kit is being offered, a lot of people are going to be willing to make those trade-offs. These goggles are really solid and really well made. And no, they're not quite as future-proof as the Goggles X, but if you're getting into the Walksnail ecosystem, I think that it's not a terrible decision to choose to go with these goggles as long as they're priced right, and you can decide by the end of the video whether you feel like the price is right. But you should know that if you do get this kit, and then later you decide you want to fly an HD0 video system or you want to fly an analog video system, you will need to buy another set of goggles or some other kind of receiver and display device. These are only going to work with the Walksnail system going forward. And that's another thing that you're going to want to consider. Do you want the Walksnail system? You're locking yourself into the Walksnail system. Of course, you could always spend money and get into a different system, but at least for now, you're spending the money on this one. And this isn't going to be the video where we go over all the pros and cons of the Walksnail system versus the other systems that are available, analog, HD0, and DJI. There are pros and cons to each, and I'll put some videos in the video description below, like my new review of the DJI O4 video transmitter. You could go back and watch my review of the last generation DJI O3 video transmitter. You can watch some reviews of my Walksnail equipment and get a sense of whether the Walksnail system really matches up for you. And we can even look at some, I don't have a lot of reviews of analog stuff, but I'll find some recent analog drones as well, and HD0. I'll put all that stuff in the video description below. And I highly recommend before you plunk your money down that you spend a little bit of time, spend even as much as a few hours watching videos and kind of getting a sense of which of these video systems is going to work best for you. And for some people, the answer is going to be Walksnail. It's either going to be, I like Walksnail the best, and there are people out there who feel that way, or there are going to be people who like say, I'll spend whatever on Walksnail today, and, and maybe I'll spend more money on a different system tomorrow, right? There are going to be people who say, no, Walksnail's not for me. And if you're one of those people, then this isn't going to be the system for you, because these goggles and this whole system is built around the Walksnail video system. I freaking love this. This is the battery pack you're going to use to power the goggles. And this is a new product from Fat Shark. It's just a lithium ion battery. It's nothing fancy, but it is in a nice metal case. And it's got a switch for on and off. Fat Shark, an on-off switch. If you weren't new to FPV, you would know how historically unprecedented it is for Fat Shark to just put a simple on-off switch on their equipment. Okay. These are the batteries for the drone. It comes with 3 batteries, and you'll probably want to buy more, but 3 is a fair number to get started. We'll see what kind of flight time, what kind of performance they give us, and how are you going to charge those batteries. And this, to me, was the final sort of cherry on top that made me love this kit. This charger is the V-Fly Whoop Store, and it is the best charger for 1S batteries, like literally on the market today. Like when I first saw this kit and they had these goggles, I thought, oh, Fat Shark is just trying to move these old stock goggles and they're pawning it off on these unsuspecting beginners. But then I saw that they included the Radio Master Pocket, and I went, oh, that's a really good radio. Okay, maybe you care about the users after all. And then I saw that they included this charger, and I was like, okay, you guys are, yes, you're trying to shift these goggles, but you're like really taking care of the customer, and you're really giving them quality stuff. This is a great charger. It's great because, well, hold on, I have to power it up. How do I power it up? Okay. So very nice. The kit comes with this 65-watt USB PD charger. It's even labeled gallium nitride. Ooh, gallium nitride. And that, I'm guessing, is intended for use. If we plug in the PD, it will power up this charger. This charger can be powered from USB PD, a DC input, or an XT60. If you have like up to a 6S battery, you can just plug it in. USB PD is going to give us 65 watts of charging. That should be enough to at least demonstrate what we got going on here. What makes this charger so cool is how simple it is to use. So the first thing we do is we click the voltage set, and we're going to set that to 4.35 volts. And that is, let's see. Yeah, this is a high volt battery. It says HV there, and that means we charge it to 4.35 volts. It would be nice if it actually said 4.35 somewhere on here just to make things easier. 4.35 volts, we set the charge current, and because we're charging directly off a battery, we can just charge at max current. 1 amp, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Okay, 1.3 is the max. That's not quite as good for the batteries, but it will get them charged up faster, and it's not dangerous. And 4.35, and we plug a battery in. You'll see there's two sets of plugs here. One is a PH 2.0 plug, which these batteries don't have, and one is a BT 2.0 plug, which these batteries do have. Do keep in mind that if you have a battery plugged in here, you cannot plug a battery in here, okay? These two plugs are one or the other, but not both. These are all separate, 4, 5, 6, but the two plugs together, they cannot be used at the same time. So I'm going to plug that in, and I'm going to plug the next one in, and, oh, there we go. And I'm going to plug the next one in, and I could do up to 6, and then I'm going to hold down the start-stop button, and you see, it's charging. That's it. And it's going to keep charging. So like if one of these finishes charging up, it's going to say okay here on the screen. I unplug it, I go fly. When I come back, boop, I just plug it back in, it starts charging. Once I hit start, it just keeps charging. Whenever I plug a battery in, it charges it up. And you can just basically fly all day. It's a fantastic little charger. So simple to use. Very few options to confuse you. Very few options to get wrong. When you're done flying, you can actually change this voltage to 3.8 volts, which is storage voltage, and you plug the batteries in and it takes them down to storage voltage, and that helps maintain their health. If you leave the batteries fully charged like overnight when you're not using them, then they'll be damaged and they won't work as well. So you don't want to leave them empty, and you don't want to leave them full. Whenever you're done using them, you go, here, I'll do it. We just go voltage set, and we change, oh, there it was, 3.80, and then we do that. And then it will take the batteries down to 3.8 volts. And then that's how we put them away when we're done using them. 4.35, charging. So simple. It's a fantastic, I love this charger. This is the charger I use for all my 1S charging. It's the best. It's so convenient when there's something on the market that is just the best. And this is that for this particular thing. So that's what comes in the kit. Now, I'm a new beginner and I don't know anything, and I've just bought this kit and now I'm going to fly it, right? What do I do? That's where the documentation comes in. ROTOR and Fat Shark have provided documentation about how to control the drone. Cool propeller installation guide if I have to put on spare props. We're going to take the drone. We got the goggle battery pack. Plug in the goggles. Power up the goggles. Boink, boink. So if I just plug this in, is it just going to work? Yes! Haha! I have video in the goggles! Okay. Great. And I have signal here. And, hang on, where's the instruction for arming? Disarm, arm. Ready? Here you go. I could fly this right now. That's it. Now, I shouldn't fly it right now. I should go and set up the channel and the output power and stuff. And in fact, I've got a video about how to get the best performance out of the Walksnail video system. I'm going to link you to that, and it's going to tell you things about channel setup, high frame rate, low frame rate, high bit rate, low bit rate. But I'm going to do that setup now, and then I'm going to take it outside and fly it, right? Of course we are. Before we put this quadcopter in the air, there are a couple of things you need to know about how to set it up and get the most out of it. And the first thing I want to tell you is, please, please resist the urge to update the firmware, to go jack around in the settings. If you know what you're doing, then okay, obviously it's your equipment, you can do whatever you want with it. But it's been delivered to you in a fully working, tested state with the intent that you will just go out and enjoy it. And so many times people think, oh, well, obviously the first thing I need to do is flash the firmware, because sometimes that's true, but that's not true in this case, and you're more likely to get yourself in trouble and basically make your equipment not work. And that's going to be really frustrating. So, next, we will go ahead and turn on the battery pack. I want to show you it's at 8.2 volts. It's been on full charge overnight. Technically 8.4 volts would be fully charged for a 2-cell LiPo, but 8.2 closes. Sometimes they don't even fully charge them just to increase the longevity. And if I plug in, we'll see that voltage drop down a little bit. It's normal that the voltage in a battery will drop a little bit under load, so don't worry about that. We're going to run that down to, the minimum would be at least 6 volts, and maybe even lower than that, because this is a lithium-ion battery. But I think around 6 volts is what we're going to run it down to. And I actually don't know if this has a protection circuit in it to prevent you from over-discharging the batteries. Maybe if I'll find out before I release the video and I'll put text on screen or something. But 6.0 volts is where we're going to definitely be, like at the end of the battery pack's life. And I don't know how long it's going to take to get there either. Maybe we'll see over the course of this video. We are going to turn our controller on, and before we turn the controller on, we're going to push all the switches away. So here the switches are towards, and here they are away. They are towards the bottom of the radio. The standard is that on a controller, you push all the switches away from yourself. If there's switches on the face, you push them towards the top of the radio. If there's switches on the top of the radio, you push them towards the bottom of the radio, away from yourself. And there's no reason why we couldn't do it another way, but the idea is that you always want to power the controller on with the switches in a known controlled state so that when the drone powers up, nothing weird happens. We should also have these shoulder switches out, and if any of that is not true, then when we turn the radio on,
welcome to HTX. Throttle warning.
We'll get a warning. So the throttle warning means the throttle needs to be all the way down.
Switch warning.
And switch warning means the switches are not in the correct position. So we'll push the switches away and we'll make sure these switches are out. And now we're ready to go. We will insert the battery into the quad. Which way should it go? Facing forward or facing back? I think this battery lead is not going to reach all the way around. So we'll have the battery facing out the back. The same as the battery lead. It just slides in there and stays via friction, and then this plugs in just like that. Okay, quadcopter is powering up. So this is a little bit more like racy style of flying, right? And we can see that, you know, oh, what happened? I lost video. Just lost video completely. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I don't think my battery voltage dropped out. That was weird. Oh, yeah, she's still a tiny whoop. So let's try turtle mode, see if she'll flip over. Nope, I gotta go get it. So the quadcopter has a thing called turtle mode. It's described in the documentation that comes with it, where the motors reverse themselves to try to flip the quad over if you've crashed, but I think I'm bound up in some grass or something, and turtle mode's not the best on these little drones anyway because the props are so small. Be right back. Why is it beeping? Oh, that was the beeper, but why is it? Oh, I've got the beeper turned on. That's what that noise was. Okay, great. Let's fly. That was the motor beeper. That's useless. Oh. It glitched out. I lost video. I have no idea why. 3.6 volts. No, it's just, I have no video. It's just frozen. That's the second time the video has just froze up for no reason. It says VTX overheating, but as soon as we start flying, the VTX should stop overheating. You probably can't see that in your goggles. Yeah, the goggles are showing the VTX temp. As soon as we start flying and moving, that goes away. Oh, land now. Damn it. Not a great flight time on these. Yeah, I can see the batteries now at 3.66, 3.7 volts. This battery is far from empty, but the problem is that these are, well, I'm just going to say it, they're crappy batteries. They're crappy batteries and they're sagging way too much. A really, really good quality battery would hold that voltage and let me fly longer. As soon as we get down to 3.0 volts, we've got to stop flying or we're going to damage the batteries. Better quality. I guess it's a beginner kit. Maybe they just, don't think you're going to be flying as hard as I am, but the batteries are really holding this back. It could be much better. How about durability tests? Durability testing. Yeah, buddy. Well, I lost video.
Telemetry lost.
Let's see what happened. It just ejected the battery. It's okay. Oh, that worked pretty well. She's dangling, boys. She's dangling. Still powered up, just dangling. But no harm done. One of the things that keeps happening is that the battery keeps falling out. What some people will do is they'll just put a band of electrical tape around the battery to try to give it a little more grip and keep it from coming out. Yeah, it's kind of loose in there. And the video keeps cutting out even though the quadcopter's powered up, which is kind of weird. Like, that's kind of weird. I just figured out why the video transmitter is going black and not coming back. So when you hit the wall, the motors surge because the quadcopter is trying to stabilize itself, and that causes the voltage to sag. And since the voltage was already like at 3.2 volts, it sags below 3.0 volts, the video transmitter goes below its minimum voltage and it drops out. And then it doesn't seem to come back when the voltage comes back up again, which is a little sus, but I guess it is what it is. Overall though, like, obviously, this is a very informal durability test. Somewhere out there, someone in the world is going to get this, and on their very first crash, just by sheer unluckiness, something is going to break, and they're going to think, oh, what a piece of junk, right? That's going to happen to somebody, but, you know, overall, it's held up okay to my abuse. Now that you understand what comes in this kit and what it can do, let's ask the question, is it worth it and should you buy it? And the first thing we're going to kind of stipulate in this thought experiment is that you've decided that you're okay with the Walksnail video system, and you've decided that you're okay with getting the Dominator HD goggles, even though they're technically a last generation product, and even though they can't be extended to do any of the other video systems that you might want to dabble in. So what's the price point where this would make sense? And in fact, when ROTOR first released this product, they reached out to me and said, hey, we've got a new product, want to know what you think of it. And I was like, good. Radiomaster Pocket, good. V-Fly Whoop Store Charger, excellent. ROTOR Vision40, I reviewed this previously, I really liked it. Dominator HD goggles, well, I see what you're doing there, okay. And they asked me, what do you think it should cost? And I added up all the numbers of what it would cost to buy this stuff new. I thought about what the Dominator goggles would be worth to me, and I said, 500 bucks. Now, I have to say that this was before the release of the 04 air unit from DJI, and this was before the subsequent price adjustments in the, like right now, you can get a set of Integra goggles used, DJI Integra goggles used for like 250 bucks. And so that might change this calculus just a little bit, but 500 bucks is the number I threw out. And they were like, that's funny you said that. That's exactly the price we're selling it for. And I think for a lot of people, what you get out of this kit for 500 bucks is going to be more than fair. You want to understand the limitations of what you're getting, but you also want to understand the value, which is that this is a completely ready to go kit. Just take it out. Do the bare minimum of like plugging in and turning on and familiarizing yourself with the switches, and you can go fly. And in addition, if you're not ready to fly yet, you can use that Radiomaster Pocket, plug it into your computer, get a simulator, like I like the Liftoff simulator. It's available on Steam. There are many others. Again, I'll put links in the video description to some simulators you can play with. And I've got a playlist of videos to teach you how to fly an acro drone. So you're not just like, I don't know, I've been flying for 2 hours and I just keep crashing and I don't know why. In a methodical way to teach you. I'll put a link to that playlist in the video description. Lots of links in the video description. If you understand what you're getting out of this kit, I think there's going to be a lot of people for whom $500 is a fair price. And if you're one of those people, guess what? There's links in the video description where you can buy it. And it means a lot when you click those links. Don't just go type rotoriot.com into your web browser and go buy it. Go down there and click the link, and that way ROTOR knows I sent you. And then I get a little commission. It doesn't cost you anything. Just go accept the time to go find the link. Those affiliate links are one of the ways that I pay the bills here, and it is the simplest way for you to support the channel. In fact, you can even bookmark affiliate links. Just click them. Oh, and make sure you're not using any of those browser extensions like Honey or Capital One that find you coupons because, well, they steal the affiliate commissions from people like me. I don't know. It's your money. You decide. I'm going to put some cards on screen. I want you to check out my How to Fly playlist, and I'm going to put a card on screen to my Edge TX playlist if you want to start seeing what this controller can really do. I'll see you in one of those videos. Happy flying.